Most e-commerce brands scale their Google ad spend the wrong way, and as a result, they never end up profitably scaling beyond $100,000 or even $1 million or more per month. So in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how I'm scaling Google Ads accounts for multiple e-commerce brands across a variety of different industries and niches with Google Ads, and that too profitably. Those ranging from a couple $1,000s a month to almost $250,000 a month, like these ones right here, where we're spending $12,000 a month to get a 19x ROAS, or maybe a brand like this, $181,000 per month in ad spend at a 10x ROAS. The list literally goes on and on. Now, before we actually dive deep into the actual right way to scale your ad spend, let's understand where majority of the problems for these e-commerce brands even start to happen during the scaling phase. E-commerce brands often do one of these few things. First, they either start to increase ad spend dramatically because they want to now take action like they would with Meta ads or TikTok ads. Or second way they go about this is they start decreasing restrictions. They may start decreasing the target ROAS or the target CPA in the hopes that letting the algorithm free and letting these campaigns free now gets them more traffic and now gets them higher scale. Unfortunately, this is only surface level scaling and it does not do anything for the foundation. So it's a little bit of kind of balance between doing it the right way, decreasing restrictions, increasing ad spend, etc. And when all of this is combined, that's when you now have the right way to scale, which now brings me to my next point of how do you scale the right way. Out of all of these brands we have scaled so far, what we have understood is scaling always starts from the foundation up. 10 out of 10 times I've noticed scaling from the ground up leads to much more profitable scale and much more long-lasting scale. Now, what does this mean exactly? When it comes to scaling your e-commerce brand, you need to first have enough data and you need to first have some stability before you even dive deep into scaling. What that means is I like to have 5 to 7 days of consistent stability and also 5 to 7 days where the ad spend is getting fully spent based on what my total daily budget is. So for instance, for this brand right here, our total daily budget spend is $1,240. However, if we look at it just these past few days and past few weeks, it just started recently reaching towards that $1,240 range. In the past, it has been nowhere close to that. I mean, it's been only at $200, maybe $300 max during that time. So it does not make sense for us to go in and start scaling the account as a whole. Now, maybe individual campaigns might be spending their full budget. Like for example, this campaign right here literally says limited by budget. So that means it's most likely spending its daily budget. And we would start scaling that individual campaign up if it's been stable and not only just spending that full budget for a 7-day period, but also stable in terms of profitability. So if we look right here, the ROAS has been a 5.28x within the last 30 days. Obviously, that's very stable, especially if the break-even is only a 3x, which means now this campaign is primed for scale. But once that is done, then now we want to go to the next step, which is actually beginning the scaling phase. Now, scaling, that's actually the easiest part, but it involves multiple different things. Let's start off with the easiest ways to scale. It's by doing one of these two things. Either number one, scaling vertically, or number two, scaling horizontally. Let's start with vertical. Vertical scaling is as simple as increasing the budget by a certain percentage every few days. 10%, 20%, maximum 25%. Because if you overdo this, what's going to happen is now the algorithm will lose its optimization for that campaign, and as a result, you might end up 2 steps behind from where you started. The second way to scale vertically is by decreasing your restriction. This is when every 14 days, every 30 days, we actually go in. We're trying to set the algorithm a little bit free. We do it by small amounts, maybe 5% to 15% maximum, because these kind of restriction changes can yield very drastic different results. You want to do this only on a 14 to 30 day period. Ideally, what we like to do is when we're doing vertical scaling, we have 1 week where we're only focusing on the budgets. The next week, we kind of divert our attention to the target ROAS and target CPA approaches. And that's why our overall campaigns, they're much more stable when going up in terms of ad spend. I mean, even here, if we look at the last 90 days, we can see that overall on a week-to-week basis, things have been pretty steady. But when there has been scale introduced, like for example here, when it's the right time, that's when we go in and scale, basically when it's absolutely needed. That's vertical scaling. Now, horizontal scaling, it's scaling by adding campaign types. So in total, there's a total of 16 different campaigns running at the moment. These were added because we wanted to add in more of a diverted approach and a kind of fishing net approach where there's multiple different things running at the same time. And the main goal here is to essentially go after a broader audience. What this does is now, because you're going after a broader audience, sure, there may be a few campaigns which are not profitable, which may be actually losing money, but those unprofitable campaigns which are going after a broad audience are now feeding your account invaluable data. This data can be used by the other profitable campaigns and the other profitable approaches you have going on, which then can scale the brand as a whole. So when you combine vertical and horizontal scaling, that's when you get the majority of the scale. And this is what we do for the brands we work with under my agency, Your Marketing, which, by the way, if you run a brand doing $1 million a year and you want to scale to the next level with Google Ads in multi-7 figures, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see essentially how we can work together and make that happen. But the next way to scale is by adding products or product variations to winning campaigns. The way this works is fairly simple. If you run a brand where you source products regularly, you're inventing new products, your factory is producing new products, or whatever the case may be, then you need to consistently add those products to the good campaigns, not the bad ones, the good ones. And this is because those new products, let's say you're selling a baby diapers, you're a baby diaper brand, and you add a brand new baby diaper in. Well, now, because you added a brand new product in, it comes in with its own data points, it comes in with its own product titles and overall funnel, which now the algorithm can actually use to become smarter and to potentially go after a newer pocket of the audience. So essentially, the ultimate goal here is to use these newer product additions, or if you don't add products regularly, if you just run a one product store or a few products, then add multiple product variations. So for example, if you just don't add any new color, sizes, etc., sell out bundles, meaning if you sell one product individually, now sell it as a two-piece. And now the algorithm and the campaign that's doing good, it will go after each product as its own variation, and it will try to rank it within the competition, which again is going to help you, because now instead of having one product ranked within the top 5, top 10 listings, you have now 2, 3, 5, 7 products out of the top 9 which are yours, which is the ultimate goal with Google. And then the most underrated way to scale your brand: optimize your backend every 30 days with the data incoming. So what I mean by this is, it doesn't matter if you run PMAX or search campaigns, you need to use this insight section that you have within your account to your advantage. And if you click insights right here, you will understand what kind of valuable data there is on the insight section. We do this every 30 days to every 45 days. Essentially, what you do is you come into the insight section, you use all of this information which is available here to make your product titles better, to make your description better, add these keywords in, to make your product feed in terms of Google Merchant Center better, and all of the product categories, the product identifiers, etc., much better. And this is where true scale starts to come in. I know this because we have scaled 439 brands within the last 5 to 7 years just with Google Ads alone. But if you run a brand doing $1 million a year, you want to scale to the next level with Google, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see essentially how we can work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here on a case study I did of a brand recently, which we exploded using a similar approach that I mentioned here to multi 7 figures a month.